Patrick McGrath has been quoted as being influenced by the photographs of Bill Brandt for the setting of his novel Spider. And looking at these grainy and stark images, you can virtually smell the streets and feel the bleakness of the heavy sky and sooty, grimy lanes of the late 1950s London. Dennis Clegg, or Spider, narrates his hallucinating story as a recent arrival from a mental asylum to a halfway house located in London's East End, run by the firm but fair Mrs. Wilkinson. Spider seems to be the only inmate who gets out and about, as he describes his housemates as dead souls. He walks along lonely canals and follows them to the Thames, the shadow of the dominating gasworks of the industrial landscape that always presses down upon Dennis, and for that matter the reader as well. The gasworks are mentioned many times in the book as an oppressive blight on the landscape, and for me personally, I can remember from my childhood these ghastly looking silos on the hill of Taronga Road, close to where I lived. I never got the sense of what they were and what their function was, and when I asked an adult, they really couldn't give me a complete or informed answer. Spider never walks too far because he knows nearby is the house he grew up in and the past happenings which are gradually revealed when the fog of his mind starts to clear as the story unfolds. Patrick McGrath draws you into the environment of the East End London, so much so you feel as if you're walking along with the narrator, such as the visual description of a gloomy, broken, shattered landscape still trying to recover from the Second World War. The inner workings of Spider's mind were brought to the screen in 1990 when the viewer is confronted with the mumbling, shambolic figure depicted so skillfully by the Irish actor Ralph Fiennes in David Cronenberg's film version of the same title. The film version brings McGrath's book to life visually in all its melancholic bleakness, and finds Spider hardly talks throughout the film as he observes his childhood memories as a stooped and withdrawn figure. The overwhelming gloom of the book can be a bit confronting, but then again I got the same feeling reading Frank McCourt's Angela's Ashes, which in some minor circumstances has similar themes. The Cronenberg film has similarities and mood harking back to the British cultural movement of the same period that McGrath's book is set. Kitchen sink drama. Kitchen sink drama was a form of filmmaking rooted in social realism, a reaction of the British polite films and comedies of the 40s and 50s, featuring middle but mostly upper-class twits in dinner jackets and very nice ladies with impeccable accents. This movement of filmmaking showed the working class living in bedsits or tiny cramped renter houses or down at the pub, drinking and singing in groups. And like Spider, these films were set around industrial areas of London or the north of England. Some of my favourites is The Leather Boys, Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, but my very, very, very favourite film is Kes, directed by that incredible lefty and genius Ken Loach. Spider has been quoted in the media as psychological kitchen sink, and that's a bit of a departure for director Cronenberg, known for his body horror films such as Naked Lunch and The Fly. Cronenberg even imported mouldy brown vintage wallpapers from England to give the film its decayed look, and it has a really brown tinge to it, to the whole film. The author, Patrick McGrath, is the son of a medical superintendent of Broadmoor, which is a high-security psychiatric hospital in Berkshire, UK, where most of the patients have severe mental illness, most commonly schizophrenia, and many of the varied personality disorders. Where I live in Melbourne, Australia, at the bottom of the world, we have our own version, the Thomas Emblene Hospital, which may be similar to Broadmoor, and it's located on the bend of the Yarra River. It provides care or treatment for security or forensic patients from the criminal justice system. McGrath himself mentioned he worked at a high-security mental health centre in Canada, which would have given him first-hand experience and exposure to these types of characters. Dennis Clegg, Spider, always refers to Canada as a place he is going to or has just come from. And McGrath has done a fine job of drawing the reader into Spider's increasing paranoia, which builds intensely as Spider's personality starts to disintegrate. McGrath skillfully blends the real and the unreal of Dennis Clegg's hallucinations, which, given the storyline, can be a little difficult to follow, although McGrath holds it all together cohesively, and the prose is both spare but richly detailed, always a mark of a skilled writer, and making it an absolute pleasure to read. The theme of mental illness in fiction has always interested me. The Butcher Boy, written by yet another Patrick, with a surname also starting with Mac, being Patrick McGrath, which was also made into a film, directed by the great Irish film director and writer Neil Jordan. A book I read many years ago, and definitely a future review on this channel one day. And I also saw the incredible two-man play, Frank Pig Says Hello, which has toured the world now for almost 25 years. Authors who have based some of their books on personal experiences in mental institutions most notably are Anna Kavan, Asylum Piece, but especially Janet Frame for Faces in the Water, who gives a raw account of her time in New Zealand's mental institutions, focusing again on the late 50s and most probably an influence on McGrath's book Spider. This book review has branched off to many tangents, and I will most probably stick to this style to try and give a little more depth and interest to future reviews. And I certainly don't want to trivialise the seriousness of mental illness, which in Australia affects around 20% of the population each year. If you like this review, place a like and of course subscribe for more weird fiction, classic horror and quality dark fiction and non-fiction. See you next time.